you about systems. He's going to be teaching you about different things that can add a lot to your business that are things that are probably missing. Today is about looking at your business flows. It's understanding that different systems can make a big difference for you. It's changing your mindset about things, and it's participating. So, please help me welcome up someone that has helped literally tens of thousands of people in our businesses to grow, to achieve levels they never achieved before. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric WORRE.
Everybody stay on your seat, on your feet, stay on your feet. You're sitting down, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. And if you're like me, you might be feeling a little bit cold. So let's play a song that you're all familiar with, just so you can move your bodies just a little bit. Ready? All right, that worked out a little bit. A little bit better? All right, have a seat, have a seat. I'm excited to be in Santiago, Chile for the very first time. Hello to all of you. Congratulations on all your success. I'm excited to be able to share some ideas with you today on how you can do better. Who wants to learn how to do better? Raise your hands. Yeah? All right. Well, this is the Diamond Development Mastermind. And in the Diamond Development Mastermind, I learned a long time ago the power of a mastermind. Take one mind, take another mind, and put them together to create a third and more powerful mind. Together, the collective wisdom in this room can move mountains. The collective wisdom in this arena can change the entire market. So today, we're not going to just teach, but we're going to learn from each other. We're going to learn what's working for you. We're going to learn what's working in your market, in your DMO. There's a lot of different powers in the mastermind. There's the value of collective wisdom, what we learn together. There's getting around other hungry people. This idea of people who want more out of their business. People who want to put themselves in a peer group that will not allow them to play small. This today is an environment to unlock your potential. Who's ready for a breakthrough in 2025? Raise your hands. If you're ready for a breakthrough in 2025, this is your year. We're going to collaborate together and we're going to be sharing best ideas. So we're going to be setting up an environment to do that. And I'm going to host you through that process. There's many different DMOs. I work with companies all over the world, but I've never worked with a company that has so much innovation when it comes to different ways to move the product, different ways to be able to build a business. I've never worked with a company that has this much creativity. This idea of nutrition clubs. It's never been done in network marketing history. It's never happened. 67,000 now nutrition clubs around the world, moving products every single day. Predictable. Weight loss challenges. Marathons. Fit clubs. Fit camps. Use Where Talk, the person of our business. Social media strategies, trials and samples. All of these different things have created different strategies for you to be able to go grow a more successful business. At the end of the day, there's only 4 things that we do. 1, we sell valuable products to customers using word-of-mouth advertising. That's basically what we do. That's the only way we get paid, is when a product moves to a customer. Number two, we recruit and build an ever-expanding team of other people who are out there selling. Third thing that we do is we duplicate the process. And then the fourth thing we do is we lead people. We cause people to do more of the correct activity. Today is more about, we're going to be talking about systems, CMOs, flows, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but it comes down to leadership. If you can learn how to lead yourself to do more of the correct action, if you can learn how to lead other people to be more consistent and more engaged in your business, if you can learn how to lead leaders and stay in great relationship with those leaders, then you're going to do fine, okay? So, in all of this, got these different DMOs, different things that we're doing. There's some key concepts that we're going to be covering over the course of today. I'm seeing one thing here and another thing there. Do I have to go one ahead? I think I do. There we go. All right. So, all right, I am seeing it. One is leadership. Leading yourself, leading a team, leading others. A lot of people want to lead others before they lead themselves. I was one of them. But if you lead yourself, you're in a good place. You can learn how to do that. Leaders cause people to take more of the correct action that they were not going to take. If they were going to do it anyway, there's not a need for a leader. Does that make sense? You've got to lead you. Then, lead a team. Now, I started leading a team first, and then I needed to learn how to lead myself. So it's not always one after the other. So lead yourself, lead a team, lead leaders. Leading leaders is messy. I would love to tell you it's easy, but you know where most of the drama comes in our business? You have somebody on your team who rises up and becomes a leader, and they might do it a little bit different way than you do it, and conflict starts to show up. Or somebody in your upline that does it a little different, conflict starts to show up. Or you feel like you've got a leader that's so good you don't need to pay any attention to them. They're good. And if you don't pay attention to them long enough, conflict starts to show up. Drama, ego, pride, jealousy, envy. So you have to be a professional to learn how to lead leaders. That's a real art. It's way more art than it is science. So learning the art of leading leaders, which we'll talk about through this mastermind. And today is day one of a long conversation. Let me tell you my goal. When Stefan and I got together and talked about this idea, the idea of a mastermind. The idea was to make Herbalife the company that was known worldwide as the group with the strongest, thickest group of leaders. You can find great leaders every single market in the world. That's the objective. And leadership development is not always the easiest thing. It's tricky. Learning how to lead. Some of you have been around for some time. It took me probably, at least 3 years before I felt like I was a reasonable leader. Like I was okay. I wasn't world class, I was all right. How many of you here in this room have been involved in your business more than a year? Raise your hands. Keep your hands up if you've been involved in this business more than 5 years. How many more than 10 years? Wow, it's just unbelievable. How many more than 15 years? You don't look old enough for that to be possible. How many longer than 20 years? Look around the room. The legacy of Herbalife represented in these hands. More than 25 years, a quarter of a century. Any of you more than 30 years? I gotta ask a couple questions. How many of you ever met Jim Rohn and shook his hand? Raise your hands. How many of you met Mark Hughes and shook his hands? Raise your hands. That's a legacy. In the presence of legends. And guess what they left behind? A roadmap for you to become a legend. A roadmap for you to become what you're meant to become. And if Jim Rohn and Mark Hughes were here today, what message do you think they would have for you? What do you think it would be? I'll tell you what I think Mr. Rohn would say. He would say, thank you, I love you, of course. But you know what else he would say? We need to hurry up. The world needs us. We're running out of time. The world needs what Herbalife has. And if Mark Hughes walked through those curtains and walked up on this stage, what do you think he would say? He would say, Sam Camp, I need you. Everybody in every country in this market needs you. They need the best you have. They need you to dig deep. They need you to go after this. They need you to show the world you have all the tools, you have the products, you have everything. But I need you. Do it with me one more time. I think that's what he'd say. That's just my guess. So leadership is one of the things that makes that all possible. Then we're going to be talking about systems. Every business in the world is a collection of systems. Simple systems that can be repeated. If it's just in your head, or if it just works here or there, it's not. Some of you have systems, but they could be strengthened. They could be much stronger. The stronger the system, the more rigid the system, the more specific the system, the better the system. If it's loose, if it's discretionary, teams don't really respond well to loose and discretionary systems. So we're going to talk about systems. We're going to talk about mindset. How do you develop a stronger mindset? How do you learn how to think like an entrepreneur? I was talking with some of the executives backstage, and they said, this is a special group, this group in this arena. They said, you can tell this group the truth. This group, you can be straight, you can be candid, you can be right to the point, and they're okay, they'll be okay with you. Is it okay if I'm honest with you? Is that all right? Raise your hands if it's okay I'm honest with you. All right, remember you raise your hands. When it comes to mindset, I want to talk about entrepreneurship for a moment. Entrepreneurship. When I wrote the book Go Pro, and I talk about if you have an entrepreneurial bone in your body, network marketing isn't perfect, but it's better than any other form of entrepreneurship on earth. It's just flat better. But you know what I've realized recently? Most people involved in network marketing, most people involved in Herbalife are not acting like entrepreneurs. They're self-employed, sure, but entrepreneurs, I'm not so sure. Take an entrepreneur that gets their income to $5,000 a month to $10,000 a month. Does a real entrepreneur retire mentally, kick back and just collect their check? Or did they find a new challenge inside their business to go conquer? Now, self-employed people, when they get their income to 5 or 10,000, it's very easy for those people to say, I'm just going to relax, but not an entrepreneur. What do entrepreneurs do differently that self-employed people do differently? What's one characteristic of an entrepreneur versus a self-employed person that would differentiate the two? I'll give it to you. I'll give you a couple of them. One, entrepreneurs take risks. Not just risks of their time, risks of their money. They take big risks in order to be able to grow their business. That's what they do. They reinvest back into their business. That's what entrepreneurs do. Over and over and over and over and over again. There's a YouTuber in the United States. You might have heard of him. His name is Mr. Beast. Anybody ever heard of Mr. Beast? Anybody know who he is? Jimmy Donaldson. He's 26 years old. He's worth over $10 billion. His average YouTube video gets over 200 million views. Okay? 26 years old. He started at age 11. And when he started to earn money, he lived with his mother. When he made his first $5,000 for a YouTube video, you know what he did? He took the whole $5,000 and he put it into a better video. And his mom was like, you need to save some of that. He said, no, I just want to make better videos. And then he made $10,000 for a video. And you know what he did? He took the whole $10,000 and he put it into the next video. Then he got $40,000 on a sponsorship deal for a video. He took the whole $40,000 and put it into the next video. Does that sound like a network marketer to you? Network marketers, guess what we do? We get 5,000, we spend 5,000. We don't use the 5,000 to make a bigger business. We get 10,000, we spend 10,000. We don't use that 10,000 to build a bigger organization. We make 50,000, we spend the 50,000, we get a nicer house, a nicer car. We don't use it to build a bigger business. That's a difference between an entrepreneurial mindset and a self-employed mindset. And it's the reason why he's worth $10 billion today at age 26. Now when he brings in $100 million for a video, guess what he does? He reinvests $100 million into the next video. That's why he's Mr. Beast. That's why he's built something so huge. In his bank account, even though he's worth $10 billion on paper, the assets that he's developed, in his bank account is less than $1 million. Enough to be able to take care of himself. How much does he need? He's 26. Want me to give you a very depressing idea? What if you never spent any of your Herbalife money? Not one penny. You never spent it on anything. You either invested it into your business or you invested it into passive investments that would pay you whether or not you built your Herbalife business. How much would you currently have invested? How much have you earned in your lifetime? But here's the question, how much did you eat? How much did you spend on stuff that doesn't matter anymore? There's levels to this game. There's levels to this game. I had a gentleman, he started a health snack company called Quest Nutrition. You might have heard of Quest Nutrition. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Tom Bilyeu. He sold his company for $1 billion as a young man. And I had him at one of my mastermind events recently, and I asked him the question, if you were in network marketing and you were earning good money in network marketing, how much of your money would you reinvest back into the growth of your team and the growth of yourself? You know what his answer was? All of it. I said, all of it? Why all of it? He said, well, I'd pay my bills, but I wouldn't change my lifestyle. I would reinvest all of it back into my business in order for me to be able to get to the business to the scale that I wanted to get to. Some of you have a smaller business than you have because you haven't reinvested anything, really. Yes, you come to events. Okay, fine. Yeah, you opened up a club. All right, fine. But have you really found a way to grow your team and reinvest back into yourself and into your organization the way that entrepreneurs think? They're constantly thinking about scale, 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 scale. What level can we get to? So I want you to be thinking about scale. Not just this cash flow, self-employed, nice thing that you have, but a massive monster of a business that will provide so much income for you and for generations to come that you can be a bigger blessing to the world because you've built a bigger business. The saddest thing in the world that I see is somebody who is highly skilled, and they're so highly skilled that they develop a nice cash flow income. And once they get to that income level, they take their skills and go home. They come to the convention, they kiss some babies and they sign some autographs, they take some selfies, they walk across the stage, they get their recognition, but they took all the wisdom of everything that they learned and they don't give it to somebody else. That's the saddest thing in the world for me. Entrepreneurs don't understand the idea of retirement. They don't even know what that looks like. Why would you stop serving the world? Why would you stop helping, contributing, creating, growing, improving the world? Why? So I want you to really pay attention to this idea of thinking like an entrepreneur, okay? Not just like a self-employed person. You might be a very well-paid self-employed person. But if you were a Jeff Bezos, if you were a Richard Branson, if you were Mr. Beast, if you were my friend Tom, who built the Quest Nutrition, how would you, and Herbalife is the only way that you could create wealth and create scale. How would you treat your Herbalife business? I just want you to be thinking about it slightly different, because a small change in your thinking will equal a huge change in your future. So that's one way entrepreneurs think different than self-employed people. Let me give you another. Another way. This is a big one. 5 words in English. I don't know how many words it's going to be in your language, but write it down as soon as the translators get it. Ready? Entrepreneurs work with what they have. They work with what they have. They don't wait for something else. They don't wish for things to change. They don't hope for a different comp plan. They're not waiting for a different flavor. They're not hoping for a better training or a different upline. Guess what they do? They work with what they have. If the government is not positive to their particular business, they work with what they have. If the government is positive, they work with what they have. If they have a particular line of products that other people don't have, or other people have products that they don't have, they work with what they have. They maximize what they have. They leverage what they have. And you know what self-employed people do? They complain about what they don't have. They spend all their time thinking about, well, if I had what these other countries had, if I had what these other markets had, then I'd be more successful. That's a self-employed thinking, employee-minded thought process. That is not how entrepreneurs think. They work with what they have. If you could drive anything into your organization, into their minds, every time they start complaining, hey, listen, work with what you have. I can only build a tiny little club because I don't have any money. Work with what you have. Yeah, but people in my market, they don't have enough money to be able to go build a business. Work with what you have. There's always a way. You guys have already proven that you're creative. But if you don't work with what you have, then you're stuck. Constantly comparing yourself to markets that have something that you don't have. And you have a future that's not a great future. Okay? So think like an entrepreneur. Work with what you've got. This is the mindset that we're going to be talking about. We're also going to be talking about what limiting beliefs might be rolling around in your mind, what bad habits you might be developing, because if you develop great habits, your team will tend to follow. If you develop a great mindset, your team will tend to follow. If you're in a bad mood and you got around Mark Hughes, you won't be able to stay in a bad mood very long. Why? Because a leader is infectious. A leader rubs off on the people around him. A leader changes other people's mindset. So leadership, systems, mindset, we're going to spend a lot of time on skills. And now I know most of you are highly skilled. Otherwise you wouldn't be in this arena. We're going to talk about skills in terms of how can you teach and strengthen the skills on your team. When new people ask me for advice, what advice do you have for me to be able to go grow my Herbalife business? My advice is always the same. You know what it is? Learn the skills. Because if you learn the skills, you'll have more confidence. If you have more confidence, you'll take more action. If you take more action, you're going to get better results. And it's going to make you want to go learn more skills. You agree? So you could say, oh, just be excited. Well, most people who are only excited are excited and insecure because they don't know exactly what to do. So skills. I heard Jim Rohn say something that changed my life. He said, if you work on the skills will make a place for you. The skills will create a career for you. And I believed him. So I started to work on the skills for me. I was an unskilled person with bad habits, bad mindset. But once I learned even the tiniest little skill, I learned how to tell my story. Is that a skill? I found out it was. Just learning how to tell my story. I cannot even tell you how much confidence that gave me. I learned how to tell my story in 2 minutes. So if I met somebody over lunch, I could say, can I tell you my story? If I started a meeting or a phone call, can I tell you my story? If I jumped on a Zoom, I could say, can I tell you my story? If I started a training, can I tell you my story? If I met somebody anywhere, I could say, can I tell you my story? If I'm driving in an Uber, I can tell the Uber driver, can I tell you my story? And it gave me something to do. And it made me want to learn the next piece. How do I share the opportunity? And then how do I train people how to go build a business? How do I teach them skills? How do I give a keynote? How do I do a training? The skills. And then strategy. We're going to spend a lot of time on strategy. And I will tell you, Stefan is one of the most strategic men I've ever met. He really is a strategist. And it's impressive to me because I think he's perfectly positioned in his role inside the company to be able to help develop strategies because he's been where you've been. He understands what you've gone through, what you're going through, what you're likely to go through. But here's what he's really good at: seeing what's about to happen. He can see around corners. And he can see the trend, where it's going before it gets there, and help to make changes, because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over. Like, the concepts stay the same, but the tactics change. They change with technology. They change with social media. They change with the times. They just change. So you've got to be willing to keep the concept basically being the same, but then be adaptable in the style in which you use the concepts, if that makes sense. So, leadership, systems, mindset, skills, strategy. I'm going to give you 2 slides on mastermind topics. If you want to take a picture of these, you can. I'm not going to go through them all, because I think there's 52 different topics on these 2 slides. First, everything from prospecting systems, inviting systems, follow-up, closing, getting people started, promoting events, sales, recruiting, duplication, leadership, problem solving, how to use contests, recognition, incentives, events. Sorry, translators, I'm going fast. Social media systems, training, team relationships, company relationships, handling change, branding, handling being rated by other organizations, recruiting, sampling campaigns, activity, communication, expectation, all the way through finances, creating a support system, waking up from a success coma, all these different things. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So we're not going to cover those 52 things today. You can take a sigh of relief. It's not all going to happen today. But we're going to start the process. We're going to build a foundation, okay? So let me teach you how to get the most out of this event. How to get the most. Take notes. You got a great culture of taking notes. I see most of you taking notes. Don't trust your memory. The lightest pencil is better than the best memory. Write it down. Especially over the course of this weekend. Your mind's going to be tired, you're going to be thinking about other things. Make sure you at least get it. So go back and look at it later. This, especially in the mastermind, should be like a training manual for you. This should be something that you could use to go back to your team, open up a page, and train them. Take what we're training you, you go train your team. To hold yourself accountable, have a positive peer group, right? Have a workout friend, have somebody who will push you. We're going to push you. You already gave us permission to do that. But push each other. If you're really smart, what I would do is, this is the big mastermind. Create a small mastermind on your team inside the big mastermind. You can double your effectiveness. Get a small group of people committed, and then plug into this bigger mastermind. You double the effectiveness of the entire mastermind. Participate in the accountability groups that are set up. Participate. Let me just tell you this. We set up these different little work groups inside of this Diamond Develop Mastermind. Let me tell you what I would do if I was you. There's going to be a captain of that group. Decide that you're going to be the captain of that group. You're going to be the one that's driving the conversation. You're going to be the one that's leading people. You're going to be the one that's making people show up. You're going to be the one that's coaching and mentoring. There's so much value for you in coaching and mentoring other peers inside of your organization. Don't be that leader that's too cool to get into an accountability group and have a discussion about how to do better in Herbalife. Decide you're going to be the leader. Even if you're not officially the leader, somebody else is going to be the captain. Fine, but you still make sure that you're leading in and you're leading that group. For your benefit, more than for theirs. You understand what I'm saying with that? When you come into any group, go into any networking group. You ever walked into a networking group not affiliated with network marketing? The people who are the most popular in those networking groups are the people who are working the room and connecting other people. They take charge of the environment. They're delightful to be around. They bring value to everybody. Everybody knows their name. Be that person, but inside of Herbalife. And if you are, you get the benefit. The benefit comes to you. It looks like it's a gift to them, and it is, but it's a bigger gift to yourself. Okay? Set a goal of how many people in your team you want to be in this mastermind with you. Because it's one thing for you to be here, try and go home and inspire them with what you learn. It's another thing if they're sitting with you and you can learn together, a completely different experience. You know what it's like. You come to an extravaganza, you're excited, you go home to the people who didn't go to the extravaganza. How hard is it to try to inspire them and let them know all the things that happen at the extravaganza? It's almost impossible. It's like you're speaking two different languages. Right? So it's best to have them in the room. Let the room do the work. Let this arena do the work. So you don't have to do that much work when you get home. If you get a person to an extravaganza, you just need to your work gets so much easier when you go home. Because they know exactly what to do. They're on the same page. And then the last thing, if you're going to be an all-in, be all-in. All-in, all the way, 100%. Fully committed. Doing it all. Every exercise, doing it all. Every challenge, I accept. Every assignment, I got it, I'm in. All the way. I'd rather you be hot or cold. That in-between doesn't inspire anybody. And hot or cold, which is better? Hot. Be white hot. That energy that you bring to your team when you leave this event, even from here to extravaganza, right? Your energy will make that extravaganza work. Not everybody else. Your energy. You agree? So that's some ideas on how to get the most out of this. Let me talk about leadership for a second. I have 5 attributes of a great leader. These are my 5. You can argue with them if you want. You can pick your own 5. But these are the 5 that made the most sense to me. As I worked around the world, and with this spotlight, can I walk around a little bit? I'm going to try. When I talk about these 5 attributes, looks like the spotlight upon me. Cool. I'll blind some people, sorry. Yes, yes, yes. So, number 1 attribute of a good leader, I want you to think about your organization, think about yourself. Number 1 is that they're independent. They can build a business with or without you. They don't need your help. You stay friends, but they can go build a business. They're not needy. They're not crying all the time. They're not complaining all the time. They got this. Make sense? So independent. They can go build. Your goal, frankly, when you start a new person, is to help them become independent from you as quickly as possible. That's the number 1 goal when you sponsor a person. You should tell them, my number 1 priority is to help you become independent from me as quickly as possible. Do you agree that that's a good goal? They'll say yes. How long do you want it to take? They'll say 6 months, 9 months. All right, fantastic. Let's go to work, right? So independent is number 1. Number 2 is they're a good problem solver. They solve problems. When a problem shows, some people think they're a good problem solver because when a problem shows up, they give their problem to somebody else really quickly. They think they've solved the problem. They didn't. They just gave it to a problem solver. Learn how to solve a problem fast. Problem shows up, solve the problem. Move on. Because if you solve problems, your team's going to be more effective. If people think that they can't afford going to convention, you solve that problem, you solve it for the whole team. If people think I don't have the time, you show people that they can find the time. You solve it for the whole team. You see what I'm saying? Anything shows up that would take a person off track. You as a problem solver say, in your mind, all distractions are equal. I don't want distractions on my team. The biggest challenge you're going to have in growing a big team is little distractions. Little tiny things that show up. And it doesn't seem like, well, somebody should fix this. That's what you think. Here's what great leaders do. They fix it. right? So think about how would you rate yourself on solving problems on a scale of 1 to 10? And then how would you rate your team on solving problems? Do they become overwhelmed by their problems? Does their problem become their whole story? You ever met somebody that got divorced and the divorce was their whole story? That's all they could talk about? Every conversation for months and years, that was the entire, that was their identity? Same thing happens in your organization. I'm a single mom, I can't be successful. I don't have time, I can't be successful. I don't have money, I can't be successful. I don't have enough money to open up a nutrition club, so I can't be successful. I'm not a salesperson, so I can't be successful. I don't know enough people. I grew up in a poor family. I grew up in a rich family. I'm too educated, I'm not educated enough. How can I sell Herbalife? I'm too fat. There's a million problems out there. Guess what our job is? To reframe that story in their mind as quickly as possible so they realize that every problem they have is an opportunity. Let me say that again. Every problem you or anybody on your team has is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity. There's a great book. I don't know if it's translated into your language, but it's called The Obstacle is the Way. The author's name is Ryan Holiday. The obstacle is the way. Any obstacle that is in your way is your opportunity. It is working for you, not against you. So, one, if you are independent, you got a good chance of being a leader. If you are a good problem solver, great. The world will reward somebody who can solve a problem. Well, we're not as big as we should be in Brazil. That sounds like a big problem. Guess what? The bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. Go solve it. There's nothing stopping Brazil by itself from doing $1 billion a year. Nothing. All it needs is a leader that makes a decision. A leader that says, this is my country, I'm going to build it, right from where I am. Every market, same thing. Bigger the problem, bigger the paycheck. So one, independent. Two, good problem solving. Three, great leaders are consistent. They have a baseline of consistency. They never fall below that baseline. They might go above it, but consistency breeds confidence on a team. Now consistency was my biggest challenge when I was building in the field, because I'd be hot, and then I'd be cold, then I'd be hot, then I'd be cold. I'd be really dependable, then I'd be undependable, right? If you're just consistent, not like crazy, but consistent, and occasionally give it a burst of energy, your team's going to grow. Fourth attribute of a great leader, right? Independent, problem solver, consistent. They've got a big vision. What did Mark Hughes have? A big vision. And the ability to communicate it. What does Stefan Graziani have? A big vision. What does Rob Levy have? A big vision. What did Jim Rohn have? A big vision. What do your chairmen and founders have? A big vision. But it's not enough for you to just have a vision in your head. You've got to have the ability to communicate it to others in a way that they go, I see it. You need to learn how to speak in a language that makes people see things that don't exist in their own minds. Paint a mental picture. Paint a mental picture in somebody else's mind with your words. Mark Hughes was so good at that. Every time he talked, he was painting a mental picture of what the future was going to be like. And we're all going to be a part of it. Remember? If you don't remember, go back and watch again. Every time he's talking, he's painting a mental picture. He's casting a vision out in the marketplace. But it's not enough for you to just repeat Mark Hughes' vision, or Michael Johnson's vision, or Stefan Graziani's vision, or Rob Levy's vision, or any of the other executives, or even your chairman or your founder. What's your vision? Yours specifically. What are you going to do for your town, your city, your country, your region of the world? What are you going to do? What do you see? How many people are you going to help? How many pounds are you going to help people get rid of? How many lives are you going to change? How many people can you help with financial independence? How many families can you help? What's the number? Tell me how you're going to do it. Remind me one more time. You'll know that you're a good leader when people, all they want to hear from you is tell me your vision again. Tell me what you see. People don't care that much about the facts and the figures. They don't care about the details. What they want to know is tell me the vision. And if you can paint a picture, a mental picture in their mind, then they can join your vision. Okay? So, independent, problem solver, consistent, big vision, the ability to communicate that vision. And then finally, they just create action. Great leaders create activity that wasn't going to happen. They cause people to do things they were not going to do. Person sitting there, well, I think I'm going to take the weekend off. And then they have one conversation with their leader and say, I'm not taking the weekend off anymore. They say, yeah, I'm going to recruit a few people this year. And then their leader says, well, we're all getting the Premier League. And they say, wow, I guess I got to get to Premier League. They change their minds. Great leaders change the minds of people who are thinking too small and cause them to think bigger. Now think about these 5 attributes. Throw them back up on the screen, please. These 5 attributes of a leader. Question for you, and I'll ask the question of the big leaders right here. This is you told me I could be honest with you, right? I want to ask a question. And I want you all to answer it. And I want you to write it down on a piece of paper. How many people do you have in your entire team that have all 5 of these? Your entire team. And if they don't come right to your mind really quick, then they're not one of them. How many on your entire team, I don't care how deep, I don't care where it is, total, on your entire organization, how many do you have? Write the number down. Even if it's a 0, write the 0. Are any of these difficult to learn? They're not particularly difficult, it's just a decision. You're going to be independent or not? You're going to learn how to solve problems or not? You're going to be consistent or not? You're going to develop your vision or not? You're going to cause people to take more action or not? You might have to work on it, but they're not difficult to learn. Could you teach them to others? Could you mentor somebody into those skills? So, big pin levels down here on the floor. How many do you have in your entire team? How many do you have? 1. How many do you have? 3. How many do you have? 1? How many do you have that have all 5 of these characteristics on the entire team? 30. How many do you have? 12. How about you? 25? It's a big number. You're making a lot of money. Yeah, how many do you have? 8. How many do you have? 5. These are 5. 8, 30, 25. Did you hear anybody say 100? No. 400? You're making a lot of money now. You're making ridiculous money. Yeah. All right, so if you have 400 on the team, here's what I found out. On average, this is not a claim, we're having a leadership conversation here, I'm giving you my experience from working with leaders around the world. On average, it takes about 20 of those on your team, reasonably balanced, in order to earn $1 million a year in network marketing commissions. About 20, not 200, 20. So ask around, ask your top leaders how they're doing with that number. If they've got 8, yeah, they're probably sitting at, if I would guess somebody has 8 is sitting at 5, 6, 700,000, somewhere in that range. I mean, if you kind of loosely do the math, for every one, it's worth like 100,000 a year. For just those 5, are you kidding? Now, you might not, sitting in this room, be able to impact 1,000 people to change, but could you impact 20 people to change? You just got to ask them, are you willing? Are you coachable? Are you hungry? You want to change your life? If you are, all right, attach it right here to my hip, and I'm going to start giving you assignments that are designed to help you become independent, help you become a good problem solver, help you become more consistent, help you develop your vision, help you to teach people how to take more action. I'm helping you become independent from me, and now let's do it again. You need to be always reaching down and mentoring, reaching up and being mentored at all times. So that inspired me. When I heard that 20 number, when I realized that that was real, I was like, you can control that. That's something you can actually influence, every one of you. If you don't have all 5, you can get all 5. You can get that done in the next 90 days. If you're in this room, you can get those 5 done in the next 90 days. Could you take inventory of your team? Who wants to become the next superstar in Herbalife? Get them to raise their hands. Yeah? And then everybody that raises their hand, start mentoring them into a leadership development process. I won't ask him in person, but later on I got to find out how Mr. 400, how much he's earning per year, because it's got to be a ridiculous number. Isn't it fun earning ridiculous money? It's got to be super fun, right? You said you had 25? Yeah. So you got to be up there. Income's got to be like semi-ridiculous. All right, I won't get specific, but let me talk to you for a moment about how excited I am about the Sam Camp market and what you have done in the last 12 months. I'm so pumped up about this. You got to check this out. Check yourselves out. Check this out. In new distributor growth, 47% increase. New DS sponsorship, new distributors, 62% growth. New supervisors, 78% growth. A huge round of applause. Well done, you. I'm proud of you. And I will tell you, I just heard the legends. I've heard the stories of where this market was 10 years ago. I wasn't here. I'm a newbie. I'm learning. But I heard how everybody in the world was in awe of the Sam Camp market 10 years ago. Well, guess what? The prospect hasn't changed. The prospect is more open today than they've ever been to the solutions you have with the product and the opportunity. But what happened in the last year? You changed. You went from, you got through the pandemic and you decided, hey, enough is enough. Let's show the rest of the world what we're made of. This growth, these growth numbers are mammoth. And congratulations. And the other thing that you've done with this is you've had a very good focus on qualifying for Premier League. How many of you have used Premier League to grow a stronger business in the past 12 months? Raise your hands. You've used it in one way or fashion or form. Okay? Let me give you some statistics. You guys developed 3 levels, which I love. Sponsor 10 and 2, you get into Premier League, great. But then you created a gold level, which was 10 and 4 new supervisors. And then a platinum level, 10, is it 10 and 4? 10 with 1,000, sorry. 10 with 1,000 and 4 new supervisors. And here's some numbers of what's happened by region just so far this year. Last year we went, in 2023, globally, there was 1,800 qualifiers. Globally. The program didn't exist, but if it did, there would have been 1,800 people that qualified. In 2024, there was 15,000 that qualified. This is 2025. Look what's happened so far. Now, SamCam, this is ahead of last year. You're ahead of last year, but it's a fraction of what you're capable of. I mean, there's literally, with the growth numbers that I just shared with you, there's no reason, zero, that this market shouldn't be number 1, past APAC, past India, past ENA. How many people agree this market should be number 1? Why is it so important that I go do it again? This is something for my team to do. This is a little bit annoying. You know how many times I've qualified? If I counted how many times I've done 10 and 2 over the course of my career, I've done it more times than you guys will ever even know. I get it. A whole meeting across town in some stranger's house. They're going to invite 20 people. 3 of them are going to show up. 17 are going to no-show. I'm going to have to spend most of my night re-sponsoring my distributor. On average, I'll end up signing up 2 customers and maybe 1 distributor from my home meeting. I'll make $72. And I went to my sponsor, my upline, and I said, you know, look, and I'm uncomfortable. I gotta leave my house, I gotta change my clothes, I gotta drive across town, I gotta talk with strangers, I gotta do all this stuff that I'm not comfortable doing. I'd rather just be home with my family, to be honest. So I went to my upline complaining. And I said, you know, look, I make $72 for doing this home meeting. I'll give you $72 if I don't have to do anymore. Please, I hate this so much. He said, Eric, you're missing the point. I said, what's the point? He said, well, look, son, he always called me son. If you go do 1 home meeting, you'll get approximately what? 1 distributor and 2 customers. Approximately. Can we put up the envelope? No. Cool. Let's see if I can find it. Is it this way? There, this way. I got it. No problem. I'm gonna get 1 distributor, 2 customers. I'm gonna make $72. I don't care. I don't want to do it. It's too uncomfortable. They said, Eric, if you'll do it, do you think from your story, your example, your belief, your enthusiasm, that you can convince 10 people on your team to do it once a week? Will you be more likely to? Yeah. All right, if 10 people do it now, that's 20 new distributors and, 10 new distributors and 20 new customers. I said, yeah. They said, well, if you just do 1 a week, do you think eventually you can convince 100 people to do 1 a week? Because if you can, now we're talking about 100 new distributors and 200 new customers. Will you trade the 1 night yourself in order to get 200 nights happening on your team? I went, okay, I'll do it. And why do I tell you that story? Some of you are annoyed about qualifying for Herbalife Premier League in 2025. You're annoyed, so you got other stuff to do. But if you'll do it the one time, can you get 10 people from your team? Are you more likely to get 10 people from your team into Herbalife Premier League? Yes. If you do it the one time, are you more likely to get 100 people from your team into Herbalife Premier League? Answer is yes. What's the longevity and the results of somebody that's in Premier League versus somebody who's not? It's not even close. It's night and day. So sometimes you got to do the annoying thing in order to be able to get the big result. You know, we like to say, lead by example, lead by example. Yes. Okay, fine. Lead by example. I always found that to be a little bit bossy. And somebody's just like, go lead by example, go do the thing, you know? Which made me not want to do it. But when they say, if you'll do this, your team is more likely to do this. This is in your best interest. Then I went, oh, okay, now I'll do it. So I want to challenge all of you. If we go back to the slide, I want to challenge all of you. Through May, there's a total of 49 Herbalife Premier League qualifiers for 2025. Here's my challenge. I don't know if you're up for this, but I'm going to challenge this to the leadership. My challenge to you, by December 31st, 2025, is for Sam Camp to be #1 on this list. Who's willing to accept that challenge? Raise your hands. So I don't know how many people we have here in this room, a couple thousand? But a couple thousand's a good start, isn't it? You're leaders, aren't you? So guess where this starts? Everybody in this room, just figure out your 10 and 2 and get it over with. And then, with that example, go back to your team. Get 5 or 10 people on your team to do it with you. Or get 5 or 10 people to do it with you now. And you all go on the journey together and hold each other accountable. There's nothing in the world that will stop this market from having 5,000 to 10,000 Herbalife Premier League qualifiers by December 31st. That's my challenge to you, okay? It starts with leadership, though. It starts with you, okay? You accept? I don't want to see you #4. If December 31st you're #4, I'm going to be very, very sad. Because you're growing too much to be #4. We got to get rid of that #4 number. And we got to blast past APAC. That should be an easy thing to do. Another tool for you as leaders is Flex 45. How many are using Flex 45? Show of hands. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, is it? It's a challenge to be able to get through 45 consecutive days. Let me show you some numbers here. Back up one. Here's some numbers for Sam Camp. It looks like Colombia has the most that started the program, followed by Brazil, then Peru, then Chile, and then it goes down from there. And it looks like this, Flex 45 Lite. For these next summer months, lighter pace, same outcome. 7 daily tasks in any 45 days within 90. Take the next 90 days then. How many people on your team can you get to accept this program for the month of the summer months? And will it increase the productivity of your organizations during June, July, August? That's the real question. Okay, this is just a tool for you. It's a tool for you to get people to do more than they were going to do. So for Flex 45, here's what I would encourage you to do. Identify who from your team is registered, create accountability groups, ask them what their goals are, create personal development resources if they don't know where to go with personal development, recommend books, ask them for their 45-day weekend to get people to do more action. Just like Herbalife Premier League is something you should be doing anyway. Mark Hughes used to say recruit 10 people every month. Every month, that was his mantra. Every month, recruit 10 new people. Those of you who met him, those of you who understand, I'm telling the truth. 10 every month. We're saying 10 per year. We got soft, right? But that's just a tool, right? It's just a tool for you to cause more people to take more action. Same thing's true with Flex 45. So, I want to talk about the leadership gap, and then I have an assignment for you. And again, this is straight talk. So I'm going to be as straight as I can. If leadership looks like this, if there's a leadership graph, looks something like this. I've never seen an organization, if we use those 5 characteristics to define a leader that we went through earlier, I've never seen an organization in 37 years grow their true leadership more than 10% per month. Excuse me, per year. Never. True leadership. Now, you'll grow earners, but you won't grow leaders. Do you understand the difference between an earner and a leader? Somebody can be earning the money and not have those 5 characteristics, and if they don't have those 5 characteristics, eventually the money's going to come back down to whoever it is that they are. So 10% a year is the max that I've ever seen. And that looks something like this. It's just, you know, growth looks something like that. Now take 10 years ago in the SamCam marketplace. Were you growing more than 10% a year? Much more. You're growing like this. Straight up. Now, if leadership is here and revenue is here, one of 2 things has to happen. Leadership either has to come up to the level of revenue, or revenue has to come down to the level of leadership. Those are the only 2 outcomes, because this cannot sustain. And if you wonder why is SamCam down, let me tell you something about momentum. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you. Momentum. How many of you have ever been involved during a season in Herbalife where you had momentum? Raise your hands, please. Isn't it the funnest thing in the world? Everything's working. Everybody's joining. Rank advancements everywhere. Everybody's selling. Clubs are opening. This is the most exciting thing ever. Here's the hard truth. Momentum is almost always an incredibly destructive force. It's almost like a tsunami. Here's momentum. I'm the tsunami. You're the beach. Momentum. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It hits the beach. It starts climbing the hill. And then, when it finally reaches the end, what happens to momentum? It goes back, 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 leaving a bunch of destruction. Here's what happens in our business. Do you think we develop more leadership during momentum? Answer is no. Way less. We're not developing our skills during momentum. We're not strengthening our mindset during momentum. We're not learning how to solve problems during momentum because there are no problems. We're not tougher in adversity because there is no adversity. We all think that we're unicorns, and we have reinvented network marketing, we've reinvented Herbalife, we've figured it out, we've solved everything. Are we hard, strong, or are we soft? We become soft in momentum. That's just the truth. And if you think back last time you were in momentum in Herbalife, you were not developing strength. Guess where you needed to develop strength? In the last 48 months. That's when strength needed to be developed. In the last 12 months, that's when strength said, enough is enough. We're not going to live at this low level anymore. We're getting back to our peak check. We're getting back to our peak level. We're going to go beyond anything we've ever done before. We're going to strengthen ourselves. We're going to develop ourselves. You hear me? Almost all the huge global companies in the world, they were formed during recessions. Not during boom times, during recessions. Same thing's true with leaders. Now, it doesn't have to be the case because look, if you have leadership here and you have revenue here, revenue's up here, leadership's down here. You don't want to get rid of the revenue because that's a good thing for your business. You want to keep that revenue. So here's how you manage next time. And you're just, the slides I showed you was the beginnings of momentum. 35% growth here, 55% growth there, 200% growth there. It's the beginnings and you can feel it. How many of you can feel the momentum starting to pick up in SamCamp? Can you feel it? This time, here's how you need to handle it. This time, tell your team, this momentum, this growth that we're having is not normal. It's not going to last for forever. And what do we need to do during momentum? We need to work on your skills. We need to work on your mindset. We need to work on your abilities. We need to host more meetings. We need to be able to build more cities. We need to start more clubs. We need to train our people with the mindset, skill set, strategy, leadership necessary. So when it does correct, when it does adjust next time, that's our moment. That's when we're going to be prepared when everybody else gets distracted. When everybody else stops working, that's when we're going to go into the next level. Because it has to correct. Having a leadership gap is not the problem. You should have a leadership gap. Revenue here, leadership here. You should have a gap. Revenue here, leadership here. There should be a gap. Always. But you need to have a plan to rise this number. Rise this leadership group. That's what this mastermind's all about. Rising this leadership line up to revenue. Then we'll create another revenue gap. And then we'll rise the leadership line up to that level. And we'll keep leveling up and up and up and up. Because when this goes up and then it comes down like this, and nobody's been prepared, everybody thinks that there's something wrong with Herbalife, everybody thinks there's something wrong with network marketing, they think there's something wrong with our products, they think there's something wrong with our compensation plan, they think there's something wrong with themselves, everybody's lazy, they'll come up with a million excuses, and none of those things are real. The leadership just wasn't strong enough to hold the revenue line. So you're starting momentum now, so I'm telling you now. Now is the time for leadership development. Now is the time to develop skills. Now is the time to really tighten your DMOs. Now is the time to develop your system so strong that you can hold the revenue this time instead of losing it in the future. It makes sense. All of you in this room have had your peak check, the biggest check you ever had. And I know it's hard to get that big check out of your mind when you're not earning that big check right this second. You want to get it back? Here's how we get it back. We develop more leaders. We raise this line up so it can hold the revenue that we're going to create moving into this future. 5 or 10,000, I would say 5,000 should be the minimum number of Premier League qualifiers in Sam Camp by the end of this year. 5,000, minimum number. You should have 5,000 people qualify for the Flex 45 Light program just this summer. You could have 5,000 in every country do that. That's a decision. You got to decide what you're prepared to do. Okay? So, we're gonna start. And this was straight talking. You gave me permission, right? So I'm only here to help. I want you to be able to go to the next level, and I feel it in your energy that you're ready for this. You're ready. Yeah? All right. All right. I'm going to give you an assignment in a moment, okay? I'm going to give you an assignment in a moment, and I need you to play like a professional. Like a professional for 30 straight minutes. I need you to play like a professional and follow these assignments very carefully. This is the power of the mastermind. I want you to get into groups of about 6 to 8. Okay, you don't need to do it yet, but when I tell you, I want you to get into groups of 6 to 8. And pick a captain. The captain makes sure everybody stays on time. Everybody gets 2 minutes. Everybody gets 2 minutes. And I want you to share 2 things. Write these 2 things down. 1, what is your biggest problem, your biggest obstacle in growing a better Herbalife business? What is the biggest thing that you are struggling with right now? And if you could fix it, would have the biggest impact on your growth. What is one thing that needs to change? What is one thing that needs to happen? What is one thing that needs to be fixed, okay? So that's the first part. And the second part is, what are you doing about that one thing? If anything, what are you doing to try and fix it right now? What is the biggest thing? And what are you doing to try and fix it? Okay? Everybody else's job is to listen, write it down, because even if it doesn't apply to you, it's going to apply to somebody on your team. Okay? 6 to 8. And those of you who are at the tables down here, I would recommend that you mix up a little bit. Some of you are hanging out with your buddies. It might be best if you're not hanging out with your buddies in doing this, because I want you to be very honest. Your biggest struggle might be mental, tactical, structural, team, wherever it happens to be. Your biggest struggle and what you're doing to overcome that struggle. We're going to give you 30 minutes to have this discussion. If you're sitting in a group of 2, go move to a table that has 5 or 6 and connect with that table. See what I'm saying? Those of you in the bleachers, just kind of create little groups, turn around, sit backwards, whatever you got to do. But you got 30 minutes on the clock starting now. I'll be back in 30 minutes. We're going to get the best shares from each of your table captains when I get back, okay? Ready, set, go. Play like a pro.